True. Nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous I had been, and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing, acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken, and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It was his eye. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh, so gently. Then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed so that no light shone out, and then I thrust in my head. I had my head in, and was about to open the lantern, when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening. Presently, I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern, so I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a simple, dim ray, like the thread of the spider, fell full upon the vulture eye. Old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. His eye would trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe to you the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. The night waned, and I worked hastily, but in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot whatever. I had been too wary for that. Then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight.
Is there a problem?
We received a noise complaint last night from the neighbors. They said they heard wild noises.
Oh,
Can we come in and look around?
sure, go ahead. Feel free to take a seat. Some refreshments.
The shriek, I said, was my own, in a dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues. while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, chatted of familiar things. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale, and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears, but still they sat and chatted. The ringing became more distinct. I talked freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued, and became, the ringing became more distinct, until at length I found that the noise was not within my ears. But I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice, yet the sound increased. Now what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. Louder, 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 louder! Villains! I shrieked. Dissemble no more! I admit the deed! Tear up the planks here! Here! It is the beating of his hideous heart!
Edgar Allan Poe was born on January 19, 1809. Edgar Allan Poe was an American writer, editor, and literary critic. Poe is best known for his poetry and short stories, particularly his tales of mystery and the macabre. Poe is generally considered the inventor of the detective fiction genre and is further credited with contributing to the emerging genre of science fiction. Poe was born in Boston, the second child of two actors, David and Elizabeth Arnold Hopkins Poe. David Poe abandoned the family in 1810, and Eliza Poe died the following year. Thus an orphan, the child was taken in by John and Frances Allen of Richmond, Virginia. They never formally adopted him, but Poe was with them well into young adulthood. Tension developed later as John Allen and Poe repeatedly clashed over debts, including those incurred by gambling, and the cost of secondary education for Poe. He attended the University of Virginia but left after a year due to lack of money. Poe quarreled with Allen over the funds for his education and enlisted in the army in 1827 under an assumed name. Poe switched his focus to prose and spent the next his work forced him to move among several cities, including Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York City. In Richmond in 1836, he married Virginia Clem, his 13-year-old cousin. In January 1845, Poe published his poem, The Raven, to instant success. His wife died of tuberculosis 2 years after its publication. The death of Edgar Allan Poe on October 7, 1849, has remained mysterious. The circumstances leading up to it are uncertain, and the cause of death is disputed. All we can tell is that he lived a good life, and left a legacy for the ages.
We got a noise complaint from the neighbors.
Yeah. Spoilers.
That's disgusting.
Oh, the light's still there.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Ow. It is a...
When?
Stop saying that. I know, like, just say go.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Okay.
So, like, just give me a... Would you like some food?
Yeah.
I just made some. I mean,
It's okay. I just ate.
It's fresh.
I'm on the job.
I promise you will like it.